Hello and welcome to another video here on AV Forums. I'm Phil Hinton, the site editor, and in this video we're taking a look at the 2023 TV lineup from Panasonic. Recently Panasonic held their European TV launch in Berlin, and unfortunately I didn't make it to that event because my flight was cancelled due to bad weather. So Panasonic reached out after the event and said, why don't you drop down to our UK office in Bracknell and we'll show you all the TVs there. And that's exactly what I did this past week. So I popped down, had a look at all the models, and I managed to get hands-on with all of the TVs, including the flagship MZ2000. But before I give you my thoughts on that, I also asked Michael from Panasonic to tell us all about the new range and take us through the models.
We've got a big lineup actually. Some of the entry-level TVs we've not got here, but what we want to highlight some of our new LED and OLED models. So we start with the MX800. This is an exciting TV for us because it's our first Fire OS TV. So we're getting that slick interface, built-in Alexa, thousands of apps, and a really good user experience. On top of that, the MX800 has got step-up picture and sound. It uses a brighter panel than a regular LED TV and better speakers to give a more full directional sound. And it's also got our HCX processor, so the Hollywood Cinema Experience processor. Now this isn't the exact same one that's in the OLED, but it's a version of it, and it's all about that Panasonic mindset, which is to create the accurate, natural, realistic picture, and that starts with the MX800.
And then moving a little bit further up the line, you have the return of a mini LED TV.
Yeah, another exciting product, our first mini LED with mini LED backlights for superior contrast. This is the MX950, so a premium LED from Panasonic, which we've not had for a while. Premium obviously in the picture quality, the brightness and the dynamic range and the contrast you'd expect from mini LED. But then on top of that, the Panasonic Touch, not just the HCX processor, but the latest version, the HCX AI Pro processor, to give you that most accurate, natural, Hollywood certified type of image. It's also great for gaming. It's HDMI 2.1 on 2 sockets, high frame rate, variable refresh rate, and it's got a bespoke home screen, the My Home screen, for really fast, easy access to your favorite apps. So everything you'd expect from a Panasonic TV, just a mini LED. That's the MX950.
What do you think consumers will get from that TV, and who do you think that the consumer is that would be interested in that one?
Well, I mentioned games. I think gamers will be interested in it. I think there are still people who prefer LED, for whether it's for the brightness or the perceived longevity. And it opens up that market that just wasn't there for us before, because however good we think OLED is, there are customers who are looking for different parts of the market, and that's what we want to give them.
And are you able to tell us how many mini LED zones there are there?
I'm not allowed to tell you that, no. It's quite a few, but what it does have, as well as the sheer number of mini LED zones, is it has a very strong algorithm which calculates what should be bright and what should be dark. So the amount of haloing and light leakage is kept to a minimum on the MX950.
So that's the two LCD models for the year. Let's move on to OLED, and you've got a new entry point with OLED.
Yeah, again, another new thing for Panasonic, an MZ800 this year, entry-level OLED. So all the benefits of OLED, the fantastic black level, great contrast, pixel perfect color, all the things you'd expect at a different price point. It's an Android TV, so thousands of apps and a very familiar operating system. Obviously Google Assistant voice control. It's not the HCX processor that you find on the higher OLEDs, but what we call a 4K color engine for a very bright, impactful image from an entry-level OLED.
Now, some will now realise that there's actually 3 different smart systems across your range now. What's the reasoning behind that?
The reason is to attract different customers, and also to make sure we cover all the apps. We're very pleased with our My Home screen. We think it's the fastest and easiest operating system. It doesn't interrupt the picture, it gets you to the app you want quickly. However, there are a couple of apps we've always asked for, and Fire and Android cover that by having, I think, up to nearly 10,000 apps now on Android and Fire operating system. So there's something for everyone within that range mix.
So let's move a little bit further up the line and onto the more premium models now with the HCX processing. So the next one in the range is?
MX980, so replacement for the LX980. So this is where you're getting, like you say, the full HCX Pro AI with all the picture processing on there, all the HDR compatibility that you'd expect from Panasonic, and that really natural, accurate type of picture. You're also getting really good gaming on this model. So 2 HDMI 2.1 sockets with full 120 Hz 4K gaming, Dolby Vision up to 60 Hz, variable refresh rate, and a whole gaming control board as well, to including our new True Game mode, which we're very excited about.
So just explain True Game mode then, and what's so special about that?
Well, it's a game mode that's calibrated. Some of your readers might be familiar with our True Cinema mode that we've had on TVs for a while, which is calibrated by experts in Hollywood to look as realistic as possible. Now that applies to games too, and games are increasingly cinematic. They're multi-million-dollar productions, and they've been color tuned to within an inch of their life. So with our True Game mode, you're getting a calibrated, accurate game mode, and on top of that, it ensures you're seeing the correct source-based HDR tone mapping with a hard clip, so you're getting the HDR tone map exactly as it comes out of the console or the PC.
Now, the model that everybody's going to be interested in this year is because last year the 1500 model was almost the same as the 2000, it just dropped the speaker system. Yeah. You've changed that this year. There's now a difference between the MZ1500 and the 2000, so maybe you could explain that.
Yeah, so it's about differentiating the lineup. So we got two lots of feedback from the market, from the real experts, like I know you talked to. They appreciated the fact that you could have the top-end picture quality with fewer speakers, because they wanted to add their own speakers. But also we got from perhaps the more mainstream marketplace that the 1500 was a bit lost in the range because it was so similar to the 2000. So this year with the MZ1500, we've got a completely different model. It's different from the 980 and it's different from the 2000. It's a step-up panel in that it uses Panasonic exclusive heatsink technology, so we can drive it more efficiently and get a better brightness result. And as you'll probably see from the looks of it, it has a front-firing speaker as well. It's just a 2.1 speaker, but the front-firing aspect gives you a much better room-filling sound. Was it sales as well that maybe impacted on that TV? I can't speak directly to sales, but I know that for 2 years we had a 1500, which was basically a 2000 without the speakers. And obviously if it had been a massive success for us, we would have carried on with that. This year we're trying something different. That's not to say we won't ever go back to doing something different again in the future, but we wanted to try a different approach this year. And let's move on to the flagship. We had a sneak peek at CES. It's MLA technology. Tell us a little bit about it. Yeah, our twist on MLA technology is what we call Master OLED Ultimate, and it's that combination of the latest panel, the micro lens array technology to focus all the light to make it brighter, and Panasonic's heat measurement control measures. So on this model, on the 2000, it uses a metallic and a non-metallic layer, so it's even more efficient. And the result, as people have seen from these MLA panels, is a spectacular increase in brightness, the perception of detail, the viewing angle from the sides. It really is a big leap forward, I think, for OLED. And again, it comes with the full Dolby Atmos sound system on there that the 2000 model has had for a few years now. Yeah, absolutely. It's got the full 7.1 sound bouncing off the ceiling, bouncing off the walls, really wrapping you in 360 degrees of sound. It has been tweaked a little bit this year. So last year we introduced the front array speakers, which are very accurate at positioning objects within the sound field. This year we've had a year to play with these speakers, so the digital sound processing is better, more accurate, and particularly the perception of bass is that much better again.
And of course, being the 2000 model, it has everything on there in terms of features.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything we've been talking about, all the gaming features, all the processing, all the HDR features, all the My Home Screen Smart, lots of other things we haven't talked about. There's lots of little tweaks as well as the big one, which is the massively improved brightness.
And in terms of processing, HCX processor on there, but is it also taking advantage of the new Panasonic 1000 chipset?
No, we're still using the traditional set. So the thinking behind that was that we wanted to have time to test it beforehand. So as you know, this model's been in development a long while. We showed it back at IFA in January, CES in January. So we haven't had the chance to test that chipset and see if it does what we want it to do yet.
And of course, for the enthusiasts out there, whether they're gamers or film fans, full Calman AutoCal technology built in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So our professional modes, you could always calibrate those to the very exacting standards. But also remember the true game mode can also be Calman calibrated as well this year. So it's not just movies that are benefiting from calibration, it's also games.
And you touched on sound as well, and I understand there's new sound options in there for gaming as well.
Yeah, there's 2 new gaming modes for sound. One designed for first-person shooters. So what this does is enhance the sharper, more directional sounds. So the idea is if you're being shot from over to your left, you can spin around to your left and shoot someone. And then also there's a mode for role-playing games, for big fantasy games like Zelda or Final Fantasy, where you want a more world-building sound, a more cinematic sound, a wider sound. So yeah, we have those, as well as you can play the games in any other mode you want to. So
looking at the whole range, what is it that you hope that people are going to get out of these TVs this year?
Well, as always with Panasonic, picture quality first, second and third, and not just picture quality in terms of pushing the numbers higher, but trying to be accurate and natural and realistic. And hopefully with these new additions to the range, a more entry-level affordable MZ1500 OLED and a new Fire TV with Fire operating system, we're attracting some new customers on top of that as well.
And of course I've got to ask this question, you might not be able to answer it just yet, but when can we expect to see them and how much are they going to cost us?
The MZ800 is available, I think this month, we're talking right at the end of June. And then over the next few months the rest of the range will be launched out there. But we'll forward you details of pricing and availability as soon as we have it. So thanks to Michael for answering the questions, and of course we'll get into the TVs in more detail once we get them in for review. So what were my thoughts on the day? Well, the MZ1500, it doesn't have MLA, but it does have the heatsink there and obviously the Pro panel, and it gave a very good image. It looks very similar to the MZ2000 looking from the front, although it only has the frontward firing speakers. It did keep that same design aesthetic. So the MZ2000, the flagship TV, I did spend some time watching 4K Blu-ray on this TV, and I have to say it's very, very impressive, especially MLA technology on there, along with Panasonic's proprietary heatsink system, which again is that little bit better than others on the market, if you believe what Panasonic tell you. So we'll be getting the TV in for a full review, and we will do our usual measurements and so on, but my subjective thoughts of the day, watching the TV out of the box in filmmaker mode, and like I say with 4K Blu-ray, it looks incredible. Colour accuracy is superb. The black levels and just above black detail, as you would expect from Panasonic, is almost class leading, and it gets very, very similar to the LG G3 in terms of the peak brightness to the eye. When we get it measured, we'll be able to tell you exactly how bright that is in the most accurate modes. So it's worth hanging around and waiting to see what the MZ2000 is like. If you're still sitting on the fence, you're not sure if you're going to go for the Samsung S95C or the LG G3 or the Sony A95L or
the Panasonic MZ2000, or even Philips flagship TV, which is coming up a little bit later in the year. So if you're on the fence, then wait for our review on the Panasonic 2000. I think you're going to be very, very happy with that TV as well if you're a big movie fan. So that wraps up this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please do give it a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, and of course our in-depth reviews of the TVs this year, then please consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.